Please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Welcome back. A couple of these NBFCs are under significant pressure now. So let's get Dewan Housing up for you on your screen. So that's down close to about 7% in today's trade, a sharp knock as we speak. Shriram Transport is also under pressure. You've got cuts in HDFC AMC. HDFC AMC had a bit of a rebound taking place in early trade after the big knock that it saw in Friday's trade, but now it's being sold into an Edelweiss Financial too, marginally in the red, but in the red nonetheless. Most of these NBFCs are cracking as we speak. Shree Infrastructure, etc., have been weak through the start of the trading session. Ashwini Gujral and Prakash Kaba join us on the show now. Ashwini, when we last spoke to you, you indicated that it's time to change the trade from going long to going short. What is the call now? Can someone add on to those short positions? Ashwini, can you hear us? Okay, we'll try and reconnect that line with Ashwini. But Prakash, how are you approaching the markets today? At least that early morning gains are not being held on to. There is a fair amount of pressure that we can see on the mid-cap end of trade. The advanced decline ratio is negative. Many stocks are cracking quite a bit. Your thoughts on how to approach trade?
Well, we opened with our gap 11,270 that is still holding on. As long as that holds on and closes even where it is now, looks like short covering would come in. Of course, there's selling pressure in the upper region. There's opportunistic selling pressure, I feel, sir. So I feel that's still okay to me as far as today's low holds or maybe yesterday's close around 1240 holds. As far as Bank Nifty is concerned, I would say that Bank Nifty actually has a strong support in the vicinity of 26,250 zones. Very good chance it can climb to around 26,550 zones. So we are seeing sluggishness. The initial up move has not carried forward, but it's not seeing a selling as well. It's more of a sluggishness than selling.
Okay, all right. So we'll keep an eye out on that front. Well, some of these stocks, Rima just spotted DHFL. I think we should get the intraday chart up for you. The stock is now down close to around 10%. Just take a look at that. I don't know whether there's some news flow that's come in. DHFL is down 10%. I'm sure our guest team will be trying to pull in the management and try to understand if there's something that's really changed in terms of business. The stock is now down 11%. So just keep an eye out on that stock. It's falling and it's falling on very, very large volumes. So that one should definitely be in focus. Even a couple of other stocks, something like an Ujjivan has taken a U-turn. Shriram Transport as well has taken a bit of a knock. So keep an eye out on some of these stocks. But DHFL, we should definitely get the management as soon as...
very rapidly.
Very
now
rapidly.
Down 12%. So I think when I spoke, it was down 8%. Now it's down 12%.
12%. It's 13%.
13% now. So it's cracking as we speak and on pretty large volumes as well. So volumes higher than what we typically see. Actually, most of these NBFCs are quite weak. So Shree Infra too has a cut of close to about 8.5% at a fresh 52-week low. But it's Dewan Housing, which is particularly getting punished right now. In fact,
it's down 15% nearly as we speak. So I don't know what's gone wrong with... with the counter, whether there is some fundamental news, is there a bit of selling or the stock is down 15%. There definitely has to be something out here and we'll try to solve this for you. But that stock is falling. It's falling on massive volumes. In the last 5 minutes, it's safe to say that Dewan Housing Finance has fallen nearly around 7 to around 8% and it's falling very, very rapidly. So keep an eye out on that stock. It's down 15%. I don't know whether there is an intraday circuit filter that's waiting to get flexed because that's the way it moves. Remember, it's down nearly around now. It's moving towards, there was a tick below that 505 odd mark. Just to tell our retail audience out there, there's a temporary, filter that is there. It's a FNO stock, so it can fall non-stop. But every 5-10%, there's a temporary filter, which then the exchange, they try to flex it and they try to open it. And then, in fact, they let the stock fall. Nearly 20% down. This is calling for attention. We'll have to get in the management as soon as possible. And our team will be checking what's gone wrong with DHFL, down 18.5% as we speak. We'll keep an eye out on that one. Let's get back to the markets for the time being. Ashwini, your take on the Nifty. What's the call out there? We are, as you said, we have failed to hold on to those morning gains. What's the trade on the Nifty from here?
See, you would recall that at 10:30 I had said something has gone wrong.
Yes.
And this market is going to the cleaners. If the Bank Nifty is not down more than 200, I'll be very surprised. Because what else do you want? You have rupee appreciating. you have, crude has declined, then why are people selling this way? Something is wrong in this NBFC group. It's not DHFL, it's all of them. And this used to be a market leading group. Consumption used to be market leading group. Somebody is cleaning out their portfolio and this will accelerate. We will possibly go down below yesterday's low. So this is the time to really press on the gas on the short side, because you will see a lot of bloodletting, because it's not very usual that the entire globe is up, you have all macros positive, and the market starts to see this sort of selling with momentum. So my sense is that we are not still close to the bottom, and possibly a test of the 200-day moving averages on both these indices seems very likely. Having said that, individual stocks, HUL is a sell with a stop of 1625, target of 1590. Bajaj Finance is a sell with a stop of 2480, target of 2420. And Hindalco you can maybe buy with a stop of 235, target of 251.
Okay, by the way, now it's 25% lower on Dewan Housing. And look at the way the mid-cap index is also collapsing under the weight. So the mid-cap index has doubled its losses. When we started the show, the mid-cap index was down, close to about 150 points. Now it's down 250 points, clearly 1.5% gone. 25% gone on that. On Reliance Home Finance, it's a 10% cut. Shree Infra is down about 9%. Indiabulls Housing Finance is down 6.5%. IDFC is down 5%. In the frontline pack, even a Bajaj Finance and the likes are, all the entire NBFC, the banking financial pack, is getting singled out for punishment. And the Nifty Bank 2 is on the verge of getting into the green. So just holding up about 0.1%. Lata, are you aware of any fresh news on Dewan Housing, or is it just the IL&FS fear playing out?
No, actually, we must pull out all that we put out when we were discussing IL&FS.
Yeah.
It's a tightening grip, and it has suddenly gotten tighter because of rupee and crude and all that we discussed. We had seen yields move up. Yields move up much more for non-government paper. For government paper, you saw it go from 7.9 to 8.1 and now back to about 8.04. But for AAA, as I told you, it had risen by, 60 basis points only in this month of September. And then if you look at AA, it has gone up by 1%. Now, I'll tell you with DHFL, the only thing that happened on Wednesday was one fund house, and I think that's DSP, decided to sell out DHFL. They had no problem. They just wanted to get into cash, is what I understand. And therefore, they just sold the paper, but they had to sell it at 11%. Now, it was not as if DHFL was raising money and nobody was giving them money. Somebody who was holding their paper wanted cash. But nobody is ready to take these papers that easily now. And that is because the fear is that, intercorporate deposits, people like Titan, Sun, all these are cash-rich companies. They used to lend in the intercorporate deposit market. They hold IL&FS loans. So many of them want out of this market. They will not roll over if you go to them. A lot of NBFCs go to this, Bennett Coleman, cash-rich corporates, and take, deposits. They will not be rolled over. The big fear is that those who are depending on the debt market in any fashion may not get a rollover. And, this is like irrational fall now. It isn't as if DHFL itself has come to the market. It is just a fear now. Yes Bank. Again, Yes Bank used to be an aggressive lender. It may not lend now. PCA banks are not anyway lending. The cash-rich companies, treasuries, which used to lend to other corporates via deposits, may not roll over, even if they don't ask their money back. Some of the corporates are actually asking the money back of some of the mutual funds. And these mutual funds will come and sell their paper. When they sell the paper, again, there will be a problem that there are not enough buyers. So the liquidity crunch is getting exacerbated.
Absolutely.
It was a tight situation because of global and macro factors like current account deficit and other stuff, advanced tax payment. It has become an India-specific problem because of IL&FS. And all that Ashwini said is right. The NBFC sector has suddenly got into a tight, into a frenzy for liquidity. And therefore, there are some irrational selling.
Look at Bajaj Finance is down 5%. Bajaj Finserv is down, 4.1%. Indiabulls Housing Finance
that's down nearly 10%.
is down 10%.
And just keep an eye on
Anybody
DHFL.
with real estate will have a bigger problem.
Right.
Because that will be seen as an aggressive sector.
I think we should just keep an eye on DHFL. Now it's down 25%, but remember that's a circuit that's being hit. It's a temporary circuit that's been hit, and the last time around we did see a bit of a bounce from there. Now the exchange will have to flex that particular circuit. They'll have to open that circuit. If it has to fall more, it'll fall. This is a temporary circuit that we're seeing. At 15%, we saw the temporary circuit. Now it is at around 25%. So we'll have to wait by in a couple of minutes. Either that circuit will be flexed, so the stock could fall further from there. So don't think that in fact the fall has been arrested. Keep an eye out on that stock. The markets, by the way, we have corrected 120 points from the high point. Indiabulls Housing Finance, Bajaj Finance, Yes Bank, Bajaj Finserv, all of them seeing big selling. That's it. DHFL, the circuit has been opened. The stock is down 27%. Keep an eye out on that stock. Let's get DHFL back up for you on the screen. At 25%, there was a temporary circuit. Now it's down close to around 27%.
I think we should call debt fund managers, mutual fund guys who are in charge of debt funds would be the right guys who would know, probably Sukumar of Axis or DSP Merrill's fund manager, or probably Manish Dangi of AV Birla is a very good debt fund manager. Debt fund managers, UTIs, I think Amandeep would be a very good person who can explain what is happening over there. Amandeep, UTI itself does not have exposure to IL&FS kind of paper, but I think any mutual fund, debt fund guy would perhaps have a better idea of what is happening in the fixed income market. NBFCs, of course, also will be, aware of what is happening, but it's just panicking that those who depend on these kinds of finances, especially real estate guys, because now they will be seen as just let this crisis blow over, then I will lend to you for the moment you return my money. That will be the psyche playing on the market. So that's why Indiabulls Housing also is a close second to DHFL.
Okay. Oh no, look at that. It's another circuit. We'll be waiting for that circuit to be flexed. Now it's down close to 30%. Someone has come in there and they're just pressing sell because 15% we saw one circuit. Then you had it, paused at around 25%. And now the 30% circuit as well has been flexed. And now it's down close to around 30%.
Speak to DHFL themselves. I mean, what is their short-term funding requirement? This is DHFL didn't look for money. One of the funds, and my guess is it was DSP Merrill, they just sold some of the paper they were holding, but it went at a higher percentage of 11%. That's all we have in terms of what happened with DHFL itself. But the markets become extremely risk-averse to NBFC companies, and especially those with real estate. Now, why don't you even check out what is Edelweiss and Piramal Enterprises.
So they're all in
these
the
are
red,
NBFCs.
actually. They're all in the red. It's just that the cuts are a lot deeper. So there are a few which are still managing to hold up in the green. For instance, a JM Financial right now is up close to about 1.5%. Edelweiss is down 5%. So across the board, I don't think anything is being spared. It's just the bigger cuts are now in Divan Housing, 35% gone on that.
I think Lata's point that the higher amount of exposure to real estate, that's going to get hit. Reliance Home Finance, pull up the intraday chart, the stock is down close to 15%, I think, as we speak. DHFL, Indiabulls Housing Finance, all these lenders to real estate, they're getting absolute clobbering. Pull up, Reliance Home Finance, that's down close to around 15% as we speak.
It's just a perception, actually. At this point, it's a perception issue. And, maybe I should get back that Morgan Stanley note. They have done a careful analysis of those who have a lot of paper maturing within 1 year, short-term liabilities. And, people like Indostar and all have. But that is not a problem because they also have assets maturing within 1 year. Indostar has raised money in equity market, so they are not the problem. The asset liability mismatch within 1 year comes for PNB Housing, comes for Edelweiss, about 12%. So, they have to raise that 12%. As well, Indiabulls Housing about 5%. So that gap between assets maturing within 1 year and liabilities of 1 year which they have to meet. The gap is about 5% for Edelweiss, Indiabulls, about 12% for Edelweiss. So all these could be people, Shriram City Union. But Shriram City Union is a very retail lender. Shriram City Union also has a gap between 1 year asset liability mismatch. This is entirely Morgan Stanley data. But all these will have a little bit of a problem.
Quite serious the fall on the Nifty now, down 0.5%. And on the Sensex as well, it's down about 90 points. And now anything with financials is selling off. So State Bank of India in the green, but it's off quite a bit from the high point of the day. And ICICI Bank too has slipped close to about 2% and that's taking even the benchmark indices down.
Yeah, I think Lata just said we should keep an eye on Piramal Enterprises as well. Anuj as well has said, it has real estate finance exposure. So let's get the intraday chart. The stock was holding in the green, by the way, at the start of the show. Now, in fact, it's done a U-turn. It's down nearly around 3% from the top. So keep an eye out on all these stocks with real estate exposure. They are moving lower. India Bulls Housing Finance, we're talking about a nifty company falling close to around 12%. And an F&O stock falling close to around 40%.
Now.
It's a little irrational because, I mean, Ajay Piramal's personal, worth is enough for him to get funding to roll over. I would think that, clubbing all real estate into one is a little irrational at this point in time, but somebody should have the courage to come and hold this falling knife.